Yep, I can hear
I've
you
been
now.
focusing on just getting additional contracts, private contracts, you know, just going out there and selling the business and working, just getting other stuff to cover me until they pay. So usually they'll pay 2 months late. You know, they've been 120 days late a couple of times. They've been 60 days late. Well, they've been 120 days late. However, I signed a bad contract agreeing for them to pay me 60 days out. But on top of the 60 days out, they're usually late an additional 60 days. So it ends up being 120 days. And recently, I reached out to them and, you know, they get invoices weekly, that they're invoiced weekly. And then they're also reminded every time something's overdue, they get maybe every 2 to 5 days, they get an alert. No communication. I reached out and their update was pretty much, we don't know when we're going to pay you. The response was, we don't have an update. We don't have a payment. So I'm dealing with that. But ultimately what I wanted to get from that is I feel like I haven't received or been awarded a contract based on just the work we've been doing for the last 2 months. And I wanted to get your feedback on how I can do that. A lot of the opportunities that come through are upstate in Albany or Syracuse or Buffalo. I've been trying to build relationships, finding other contractors, maybe even in Connecticut, but no, I haven't, to no avail. I haven't had any success. So I'm really trying to focus on building and getting another contract to potentially be able to, you know, ease the burden. And I guess I'm just not doing something right because I'm not landing anything.
Well, it's not you, trust me. Okay, so a lot to unpack. Sure. What do you want me to answer? Because I got.
So what I really want you to answer is, one, how I can build, I guess, better subcontractor relationships so that some of the opportunities that are out there, I can win it without having to be present and having to. I'm in New York, I'm in Brooklyn, but sometimes there's not a lot coming out for out here, or else I'm seeing it, or I don't have the relationships to be privy to it. But what I do get is stuff that's in Connecticut, Albany, Buffalo. I've connected with a few people, but I guess it's hard if you're not going out there to meet people. So should I be going out there to meet them aside from just cold calling and letting them know about the opportunities and getting them to, because sometimes they don't even want to give me an estimate. And it's just like, they want to see the space. We don't even have time for that sometimes. So it's like, give me the estimate, you know, if that estimate works out, you're going to get that. And that's it. So I don't know if the conversations I'm having are wrong. So if you can tell me how to better foster that subcontractor relationship and build that, I guess, pipeline. So when the opportunities come, I have people to call on. I would like that info.
Okay. So yes, even with that second part you gave, there's a lot right there. You're in janitorial only, right?
I'm in janitorial for now, right? Only, yes.
So for one, every contract is going to want to see the space. Only the ones that you work with for a while may be like, I trust that you're going to make a good decision. If, for example, with some of my contractors, one in particular, he'll not go see a site if he trusts that he's going to get the money that he wants. So if you go and win and you're like, I'm sorry, even though you bid 100,000, they were only going to accept 80,000. You good with that? You know, they want to be able to trust that you're not going to do something like that, or that you have the ability to recognize when something is more than what initially is said. Because of course you go to it says all these things in the scope of work, and then when you get the site visit, they're like, oh yeah, we forgot about this whole other building. And then, you know, that now that contractor that says, yes, I'm good, I'll work with you, they're obligated because they're probably not doing the paperwork, so that they kind of need you because they're not going to go out and get their own contracts, but then they also may be obligated because they want to help you and they want to get the work. So they need to be able to see the space. If there's no time, then I wouldn't even bid on it.
Understood.
So here, there's a lot of work. So I want to be sensitive to the possibility that you're not receiving a lot of work. So, or not receiving a lot of alerts for work. So my next question is, where are you getting the information about what work is available?
So I connected with, for the last 2 months, I've worked with Elevar, and I connected with them through.
There's a prime contractor.
They're not a prime contract. They pull some of the information that is in SAM. They do the sourcing and they send the information. Is that what you're asking me? Where I'm getting the opportunity? No.
Yes, I was gonna say, are they an agency that
Yeah,
needs
they're
the
an
work?
agency. Yeah,
That needs the work.
no, they're not the agency that needs to work, but they pull some of the information that's available in SAM, that's available in some of the, I
Problem
have
number
been that
one,
problem number one. Got it. Okay.
before you even go. And
Okay.
I hope you know, I mean, I'm from up north too, so I hope you don't feel like I'm being.
No, no, that's
Okay,
why
okay,
I didn't
good, all
trust
right.
you. No, not at all.
Okay, okay, good. I want to make sure. So you're getting information from either prime contractors or other people who are, like, if I was to send you something, you're getting the information from a third party that's not the agency.
Correct. But it's usually the same thing that's already in SAM anyway, but sometimes they get it faster than I do get it.
Problem.
Okay.
That's a problem. Because I even know when it comes to me, if something comes to me straight from, we have a state site for Georgia. If something comes to me, I will star it. The way for me to know what's important is I star the emails that are important. And so it might come to me on whatever, June 20th. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to assign that to my program manager, the source. And now it's 10 days later. So they may get it faster than you, but they didn't get it faster than Sam.
Understood. Understood.
So the website that I use is GovDirections, and we've talked about this a few times.
Yeah, and
You
we
need to
have
get
that.
you need it straight from the source.
Okay.
Are you getting any opportunities from GovDirections?
Not really. At the time when we heard about directions from you, we had already signed up with BidNet, and we get notifications through BidNet.
BidNet is not as much as GovDirections.
Okay, no problem.
Because I have BidNet too, and I might get one a month, if that. And there's a lot of work here.
Okay, GovDirections, no problem. We'll get
so you can do the free version. Do the free version first, and they'll still send you, from what if it's still the same, they'll send you the solicitations. Now it might say, if you put, what are your areas, New York and New Jersey, or just New York?
New York and New Jersey, but so I would focus on New York right now primarily.
Okay, no problem. She's like, right here. So I think you can even do it by zip code if you don't want to go upstate. Okay. So say you pick these, whatever, 5 cities, right? And GovDirections will send you, let's say, I'm just throwing something out there because I'm not from New York. Let's just say Bronx City Schools or whatever, okay. Bronx area schools. It'll say Bronx area schools janitorial, for example. Okay. And so if you go into GovDirections, of course, since it's a free version, they're not going to give you the actual solicitation. Okay. But what it does do is alert you that there is a solicitation for Bronx area schools. Okay. Does that make sense? So you just Google it and it'll take you straight to the website. Okay. Now you cut out, there's no work. You know what I mean? Like you cut that out because you're going straight to the source. Okay. I would say if you're having a hard time being a subcontractor, be a prime contractor. Now going back to this pay. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Okay.
So right before you go, so how do I get to be a prime contractor? How do I get direct information from the agencies as you're suggesting?
You're taking a solicitation and you're bidding on it. Okay.
So there's no, what we've done in the past is the agencies that we want to work with, we send our capability statement. But I mean, we did that for maybe the first half up until the end of April. No one's responding. No one's like,
they're not going to.
Got it.
They don't care. Look, and I'm saying this respectfully because this is what I said.
I respectfully receive it.
Look, they don't care about your little business. That's how I was feeling. I was like, but right, they care about your business. They care about you providing the service. If they put out a solicitation that they need a service, you bid on it.
And there's no way to get that information earlier than when they put it out. No way.
They might put it out a month before it's due. Is that enough time?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you can look, I mean, there are some where they put out 3 days before. You're like, okay, you must already have somebody in mind. Don't bid on it.
Understood.
But there should be more than enough that comes out from, if you just use GovDirections, and of course I use multiple, like GovDirections and then the one from the state and one from the cities, and they just come as they come. If you have GovDirections though, you should be able to get the federal and local, and so the local is going to be the state all the way down. or
Okay.
whatever, or however you structure it, whether it's those 5 cities or boroughs. What do y'all call boroughs? You know,
Correct. You're right.
okay, I'm getting there. So it'll have the just the boroughs that you choose, and then if you want to branch out to New Jersey because it makes sense, then okay, cool. But you can just stick to your area, and you should receive something every day. And
Okay.
then once you go and look it up, and it shows. Usually, it's whenever it hits the internet. That's how
Okay.
they pull their data straight from the internet,
Okay.
right? So they have people that work to insert these things manually, because I watched the whole video on how they came up with the company. So they pull it from the internet, and they have physical humans, right? So
Okay.
as soon as it hits the net, that's when you get it, or you'll get an alert for it,
Okay.
And so once you get the alert for it, if it's 3 days, that's when it would have hit that website. Even if it was Sam or whatever, it would have hit that website that same day
Okay.
that you receive the alert. And so you're going directly to, now we didn't have this conversation a few times. I don't know why you're so scared. Go straight to the source. I promise you, you'll be like,
And we checked
oh,
it out, but I didn't purchase it. But I will purchase it if I don't
you
know
could do the
why. I
free
guess
version. Do the
I
free
won't even
version.
do if you're saying that, because it's like I've invested in so many other things. So it's just like, okay, let's try this. But it's just like it's not worth it if I'm not getting what I need. If I can narrow it down to the zip code and really focus on where I actually have coverage and where I know people, instead of trying to figure out who I'm going to get in Albany, who I'm going to get in Syracuse, that will help me at least in the interim so I can then go there.
And it might be all you need. That's all I use. I never went in SAM. Well, first of all, when I started, it was FBO. And then it went to beta.sam. And then it went to SAM. So I didn't even know how to use SAM until I started doing like a little bit of consulting. I was like, let me just at least know what I'm talking about. And it's not, a super easy system. And then everything doesn't hit SAM. It's only, I think the percentage was like 25% of contracts go to SAM.
Wow.
Of federal. Okay. So if you're like, okay, I'm good with doing local, some people aren't. I say I started in local. Local is our most contracts. Do local and just get it straight from the agency. You already have the experience.
Absolutely.
You're not you're not out here like, how do I do any of this? You're just partnering with the wrong people.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And I actually just parlayed a little too long on just focusing on the private contracts, and that has come in, but it's just like I lost my way, and it's just like not focusing on what exactly I'm supposed to be focusing on. So just getting back on track, no problem. So back to the people that aren't paying me. They're a prime contractor. They own multiple buildings, and I think that they support people in transition. So they get a lot of funding. I've checked on city records. They're getting paid, but they're not paying me.
So they are getting paid.
They have had a lot of delay. There's been a lot of late payments, I guess, maybe because of the fiscal year end. But they have received checks. Maybe they haven't received the check that they were awarded for the cleaning contract, but they have money.
So what does your contract say about pay? Does it say pay when paid? Does it say 60 days?
It says 60 days.
We
had a conversation in January, and they said anything past 60 days, that should be unacceptable. I need to email the lead or the person from accounts payable. And I did that multiple times, and no response, or the response is, we're sorry, we're thankful for your business, but we don't have an update.
So do you issue a late fee on your invoices?
I haven't. Do I just, so when issuing a late fee, so when I send the next set of invoices, because we're coming up on our year, and they want to renew, their contract has something. Should my contract also include that there's going to be a late fee? Or because if my contract says it's going to be a late fee and they sign that portion, they're agreeing to it, and what if it's not on their contract?
Well, I don't give a shit what they got going on. I'm providing a service for you. So my contract is with you.
Okay.
So okay. Several things. They could just not pay the late invoice. Usually, whatever invoice that you give, you add the late fee into that invoice. Don't send it as a separate invoice.
Understood. But so just add it in as a total.
As a total, usually it's 1 to 3%. But if they're having problems paying, it might trigger a response for them to be like, oh snap, they're doing late fees, let's pay early. Or they could be like, take that shit off And now you're going to be paid even later.
Mm.
However, I say, let me ask this question. How detrimental is this contract to your livelihood?
Significantly at this point. Significantly.
Understood. So you kind of have to renew and take the beatings. So when I renew, I had a commercial contract where, what's that?
I said I would love to fire the client, but I'm not there.
I got you. No, I trust me, I get it. So with that, I had a commercial contract where it wasn't 60 days. The longest was probably like 40 days, but I was on that neck every day. Nonstop, calling everybody, like I was going berserk. So with that, I was like, I need something before we renew. This is what I need. You said you have the accounts payable person, but I would need to know, what are you doing to fix this? Like, what is your plan with me? I don't care about their contract with Jesus. I want to know what your contract with me, what that's going to look like. I'm a small business. And sometimes when you just say that sentence, it does something to people's psyche. I don't know why. One of my contractors taught me that. And it's almost like people just melt, like, oh, I'm so sorry. They may not care, but every time
I think they cold as ice. I think they're cold as ice because I've communicated. It's just like, how could, like, this?
How are you saying it though? So pretend I'm them. Hello.
In my email, because no one picks up my call. No one picks up my call anymore.
Well, that part
was in January. So in my email, I would communicate, that this is of the utmost urgency. At this point, we've agreed that 60 days is more than enough time. And I was told in our meeting in January that you would expedite any payments that are past 60 days, understanding that I'm a small business. And how can I plan my business? How can I prepare or manage my team and support them if you're not paying me on time?
Pull your team. Pull your team.
Absolutely. That's it.
So what is your actual agreement with them? You have to provide staff or you have to provide a service?
Service and staff. Well, obviously, in order to get the job done.
The staff comes with it. So how many staff do you have on that project?
4, sometimes 6, depending on the part-time and some of the locations that are in Brooklyn.
So I am not an attorney. This ain't my contract, but
tell me,
you cannot be expected to provide top service with no money. There's not a human on earth that can do that. Pull your team.
Understood.
I'll have one person working 3 days a week or whatever, like just something to where it's noticed. Because guess what? Once the client starts complaining,
absolutely.
Now it's like, what the hell's going on? How can I pay my staff? You haven't paid me.
Absolutely.
Make it make sense for me.
And the thing is, the disconnect is the corporate team that is responsible is different from the team, obviously, in the field, in the buildings that we service. Oh yeah,
100%. And they don't neither one really gives a damn about the other. So I would make it, now this may ruin the contract, but damn, you ain't getting paid anyway,
Understood.
So completely. It's kind of like, some got to give. And I have pulled my team from that same commercial one. I'm like, oh, nobody's servicing tonight because I can't afford to pay them. And then all of a sudden, now magically my check comes. Oh, that's interesting. Now all of a sudden you have it. Now you found it. Wow.
Absolutely.
Like magic.
Disrespectful. Totally.
Even if it's partial, it's like, hey, I don't know how much you're getting, but say it's a $20,000 invoice. Like, hey, can I get something to do? That's
exactly what I was expecting. To me, that makes sense. Like, there's no one that does business that way. Like, send something. I send you a weekly invoice. Send me one check every other week or something to make up. Of course, maybe you can't pay everything at once. I understand that, but nothing. Right. And then telling me you don't know when.
I don't know when my people can be back at work.
Absolutely. And that is just the tough part. And I have to let that go, which is, this allowed a few people to receive full-time hours. And I just have to accept the fact that, I can't continue to pay them if I'm not getting paid. And
everybody else benefiting but you.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I'm worried about everybody else but me. And that is really the problem. That's why I'm in the situation I'm in now.
And but when we know better, we do better. Trust me. I'm like, but I was this is how people become jaded because they get screwed over and over. And you're like, bump that. What is best for the business? My business is being, I always say to my daughter, squoze, even though that's not a word, is squeezed to death. And everybody over here is chilling. They eating their barbecue, they doing whatever. And I'm over here like going into full on anxiety because I can't make payroll. No, no more.
Insane.
So
It's like, yeah, absolutely. Covering payroll since February.
That's it. You lucky.
And it's
I'm
insane. I'm insane. And it's just like, yeah.
So the only other thing I would suggest, if you have the means to get a loan or use a factoring company may be one of your best bets, actually. But well, you got to teach them a lesson. And in my opinion, I don't want you to be, so hard to where you lose it, because I've done that before, where I tap dance my way, smooth out the contract. I'm like, maybe I was a little too harsh. But if you don't decide to take your team or remove your team, factoring companies work.
Okay.
So you've heard of Now Account?
Now Account, no.
Yeah, please reach out, apply for a Now Account. What they do, this actually will solve a lot of this. Damn, I didn't even. So, because yours is invoice based. A factoring company actually Now Account is not technically a factoring company, but they fall in the same lines, just less restrictive. What a factoring company does is you have the same situation you're in. I submit an invoice. It's taken 2,000 years to get paid. Now Account pays it for you within 48 hours. And then they go after the company to get your money every time.
Understood. Okay.
For like, I think it's a $100 fee.
That's not bad. That's better than a percentage.
Yeah. So it's something, it's a very low amount. Well, that's the factoring. Now Account is lower than a higher percentage, but even still, what you can do moving forward with your whatever new contracts or anything like that is work in the pricing. Like say you get the Now Account, then you work in the pricing for that. Make sure that you add the extra $500. So if you got to use Now Account, you can have that is basically being covered by the agency instead of you, or by the whoever you're working for instead of you.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, so you got two courses. The first course, because the Now Account is going to take maybe a week or 2 or 3, but pulling your team, somebody's got to feel something, and then at the same time, that's saving you the money that you'd be paying for payroll.
Absolutely. I want to transition out of just being the one responsible for all the contracts, and really, because I know I'm still going to be responsible if I do subcontract some of the work, but I've been doing a lot of the quality assurance, and it's a little exhausting. And I do have someone that covers me and that helps covering me, but I kind of want to see how can I, if I wanted to do some consulting, do I have to get a whole new company, wait a year to get an MWBE certification, wait for the business to be a year to get an MWBE certification before I can do consulting? Meaning there's people that's asked me to help, like social workers, people that work in schools that want to do work with the government. How can I, if I have access to that information and they actually have their certification or don't have their certification, how can I use Clean to the Max to get that without another business that says like cleaning a consulting agency that's certified MWBE?
So how important is the certification for you? Like why does the certification come into play?
I guess I assume that it would allow, I guess, more leverage because of the percentage, the opportunities that MWBEs or certified certifications have to get different contracts. And if this is a set aside, then it would be good. But if it's not, then it really doesn't matter.
Do you know if WBEs, do you know if the certification has actually yielded? Like I know in theory, having a certification, they're supposed to do blah, blah, blah. But is it like a certain state, they're gun-ho? Okay, so you don't need a certification.
I would say that to answer your question, I feel like I don't. However, a lot of the calls that I do get, even from, I guess, maybe agent companies or not-for-profits that receive funds from the agencies, they get my information off of the SBS site. they're not getting it from my website. They're not getting it directly from Google or anything. So they'll say, you know, oh, we saw you on SBS. We know that, you know, you do business with the government, but it's not because I'm an MWBE per se.
There you go.
Okay.
So if you want to do consulting, I mean, I guess you could just do it. Like, I don't necessarily think you need to start a whole new business unless that's what you're going to branch over. Like with me, that's kind of what happened with me. I was just doing my thing and then started talking to people, and then it just kind of like grew into its own thing. And I'm like, wow. And I hadn't even registered a business at all. Wow. But I was like, maybe I just need to protect this name. So let me go ahead and register. But I was still just doing consultations as Sheena, the human. Okay. You know what I mean? So you can still, I mean, I don't want to give business advice, but it's like, I don't think you really need to set up a new company in order to just give people advice and charge them. Because they're coming to you for a reason, right? And it's not even the advice, it's really helping them find the contracts on the different sites, because it's like I could find stuff for some other people in other capacities in other areas faster than I can find it for myself. Stuff like for the DOE, working and doing professional services or doing stuff for youths after school. I even found something to help with t-shirts, because they make t-shirts, and it's just like, you know, wow. It's free information, but you know, I still can't find things for me, and why? Well, you will soon. After you get Gov Directions, you'll have that. And that's if you want to stay in janitorial, you might just pivot over. It's so funny how people will do a business and then they slowly go over to like speaking or consult. It always happens. It happens every time. So that's great though, because again, that might help support your business too. Absolutely. You know? It covers the cost for the people that don't pay on time. Correct. Unfortunately. So, I would say anytime that I start something, because I used to be I guess I kind of still am a serial entrepreneur, but I got away from it because then you can't stay focused, right? So if I do start something, I don't create a business first. I do it and get into the groove of, okay, what does this look like? Is this earning revenue? Is it, you know, growing beyond just a weekend, once a month type thing? Okay, now it needs to be, you know, solidified as a business, because you may not want to continue to do it. You be like, look, I can't be talking to these people all day. Never mind, I changed my mind. Understood. Great point. Yes. Great point. Right. Okay. So now so capacity every time prior to, I guess, right after I got the certification, everyone's like, oh, now we need to see that you have capacity. So capacity to me was the ability to show that you can do the work, that you have proof that you've had different level contracts, different size contracts, or that you have the staff or payroll to cover. But for some reason, I feel I don't think that everyone's definition of capacity is the same. Am I on the right track about what they identify or look for in capacity? Yeah, I don't know what people are saying. Capacity literally is what you said. Can you handle it financially? Can you handle it via staff? Can you handle it mentally? Like, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Like, people underestimate it's gonna be an easy job until it's not. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's capacity. Showing usually if I were a prime contractor, if I was a lot bigger and I have a pool of subs that I'm vetting, just like I would be vetting an employee, I would say this person has a capacity because they've done something similar. Okay. Doesn't have to be the same, but if you managed 10 people doing, you know, a trucking company, I think you could probably still manage 10 people doing janitorial. It doesn't have to be match pound for pound, but it's like, can you manage 10 people? It's a lot different than managing 2 people. You know, like, we kind of look at the whole picture as far as capacity. So I've been trying to connect with construction workers. They're building every block in New York, especially in Brooklyn, there's someone building something. So when I connect with the construction or the general they're going to be assholes. Okay, because they're the ones that are like, oh, you know, you haven't shown capacity. You know, they're asking me about machinery. And I'm like, to be honest, I don't have machinery, but what do you know, based on what you're building and based on what I understand you're doing, I don't really need those machines to complete a post-construction cleanup. But they're like, oh, well, you haven't shown capacity. You know, I haven't seen, and based on your capability statement and your references, you haven't worked with other contractors. And I'm like, well, why can't, you know, wouldn't you like to be the first one to experience what it's like working with us? But they really are giving me a hard time. I feel your passion. I totally understand what you're saying, because what you're saying is right. as a human to human, that's what's supposed to happen. But a lot of these, especially in New York, girl, that's a whole new stratosphere of construction. They're the mob. Everybody,
They really are.
everybody
That's
knows
really
that.
what it is.
So even outside of Atlanta, even if you were here in Atlanta, they're risk adverse. I don't care about your little business.
Okay.
Respectfully.
Fair.
So if you're bringing, as far as the certification, that's what you be bringing to the table. Because if they got the machinery, they got everything, then what are they bringing you in for? You always got to look at, like, why do they
what's
need
in it for them? Yeah, what's in it for them? Understood.
Yep. So if you're like, look, my brother owns a dumpster company, I can get you free dumpsters.
Okay.
That's a benefit for them.
Okay.
I have my certification, and the only way you have to, I think, in a lot of areas, they got to subcontract a lot of their work, 25 or 15% of their work to a minority business. I got my certification, so you got to use at least me or somebody like me, or a woman. You got to use me or someone like me, or you all don't have a person that can do whatever it is, or I'm saving you buku dollars by working with me. Not because you like me, they are business first, and you have to have your mind business first. Even when you start getting people, because I didn't got screwed over so many times by trying to help out, thinking, trying to bring people in, knowing they weren't qualified, because I want to help. And it bit me, it like snake bite bit me. So if you are going to bring in someone who is not qualified, you need to have a lot of parameters in place. You can't just bring them on and assume they know. So daggone well, these well-established construction companies in New York are not bringing in anyone who could help for the building to fall down or whatever. They might run over some. You like, oh yeah, I'm gonna send somebody to go clean it up, and they run over something with a truck and destroy their stuff. Who paid for it?
Completely.
This.
Okay, so forget my grassroots. I'm not going to forget the grassroots approach.
No, don't forget it.
But just keep in mind that I have to focus my pitch on what's in it for them. And after you saying what you're saying, I don't know, aside from the fact that I have a certification, if they already have the bid, what is in it for them? Why would they choose it?
Say, well, say they already have their person. Like if they have to sub out a certain percentage of their work, even if they already have a person, you can say, please keep me in mind for any future projects. And a lot of times they already have their vendor portal that they pull from, register on their website, and they could really reach out. A lot of times they do reach out. We turn down a lot of stuff. A lot of construction companies, you can register on their portal and they will reach out to you. And there was one chick, Lord have mercy, I hope she doesn't watch this video, but she can't even spell construction. I'm not lying. I mean, you see some people where you're like, I don't think they know what they're doing. No. This is like times 20. And she is only ever been a subcontractor. And all she does literally is register. Wow. She knows how to read plans. I'll give her that. And she will put her numbers in for a quote, because they'll send it out to all their vendors. And she's won multiple contracts, and she hasn't touched a single broom, machinery, truck, won't even go to the location. She'll just find somebody to do it. Now, I do that too, right? But I'm just saying, the level that we allow ourselves to think that it's not going to work, it's going to work. You just got to be, do the things that they're asking you to do. They're asking you to register on their website. Did you register on the website? No, I just wanted to, shake hands and kiss babies. That's cool. That might work, but it probably doesn't. So it's registered with their site. Go to the industry. Do you go to any networking events? I know you said you started networking a little bit. Are you going to any networking events?
I am, but I suck at it, Gina. It's just like,
I suck at it too. And you'll find the ones.
I get in there. I do speak to people. I get their business card. I do follow up, but I just, I don't know.
It's taxing. And you get, if that's a method that you use in order to get, more connections or more work, then if you're like, I'm committed to that being a part of my strategy, because you could be like, I ain't doing that, all that.
Understood.
But if you do decide for it to be a part of your strategy, just keep going.
Just keep going. And that's because I figured the networking, because there are a lot of minority Black contractors. And it's just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna ones that I've been following up with. Like, you know, I see them in Bushwick. I'm in Bushwick right now. I follow up with them. However, there are a lot of young, I guess, women contractors, general contractors that they recently got bonding. So I went to an event the other day for that NYPA held, and I got some of their information. So I'm hoping that maybe that strategy will start to work. You know, they're new, I'm new. They're maybe not that new, but I don't know. But yeah, the contractor stuff is tough.
You just have to continue to try every strategy, because you never know. It could be something that you didn't even think. You're like, I didn't even barely talk to that person, but they remembered you. Very and true. They'll call you like, oh, I remember I talked to Dexline and she said she does construction cleanup because they whatever. And boom, they call you out the blue. You're like, I ain't talked to this person in like a year and a half. And they call you out the blue. That's how a lot of these work. So it's like you can't really say this. It's not working. It's not working if it can work at any time, or it can all work at once, you know. And then why don't you go for your 8A?
I can do that. I can do that. I'm so tired of paperwork because it's just like, what is, sometimes it's just like, what is this paperwork getting me? Like,
now the 8A is gonna get the 8A is gonna get you.
Okay. All
right. It's a lot. I started mine and I didn't finish. So I ain't gonna say it ain't a lot. I would say just do it all simultaneously. Carve out a particular point in time. It don't have to be the same time every day, because life is life. And you're like, I'm gonna work on this thing today. And don't beat yourself up. But you know, if you carve out the time,
it'll eventually get
scheduled, just like how we scheduled this call.
Understood.
Right? You carve it out and then we go to the website. Okay. Whew, got to the website. I'm good. First step, enter my name. Okay, boom, save. All right. I got that far.
I got something.
Literally those steps. I have to do that with myself because I'd be like dragging, not wanting to do it. So
Sheena, what made you not give up? Like after, you know, I know that you guys got, thank you so much. Sheena, I know this thing works. I know I see you working it. How did you get yourself to just keep going, even with, you know, some of the stuff that didn't work out? Like, you know, I know for a while, based on some of the stuff that I read, you kept your job. I no longer have my job. And it's like all the reason to stay in, but it's just like, you know, what keeps you going? What keeps you going?
I'm not gonna lie. This is not my first rodeo. So I have quit my job to pursue a business and it went horribly wrong.
Okay.
So I just did this as a different strategy. It was not like, oh, you should do this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I will be like, I literally watch so many videos about businesses that have like longevity, like Bud Light, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Intamins, like the old businesses where you're like, you know what, I don't know how they started. Crystal Burger, McDonald's, and yo, when I watched, though, there's a show called The Food That Built America on History Channel, right? And I'm one of those people who I don't watch TV, but like when I'm taking a shower, when I'm getting ready, I'll watch stuff on my phone. That's like my thing. That's like, it's exciting for me. And when I tell you these businesses have been through some shit, like one Lego, I want to say it's Lego. Lego started because this guy's wife died of tuberculosis. He had like 4 or 5 sons. So he was a widower as a dad. And so he was making toys. Wow. And then his factory burned down. And he asked for a loan from his family in order to rebuild it. They said, no, you need to get a job. So he rebuilt everything from scratch, still having those children, selling toys. It burnt down again.
Wow.
And then as the company was growing, then they started transitioning over to plastic toys, like in the, I don't know, 60s, 70s, whatever it was. And so now the sons have taken over. It burns down again.
That's crazy.
you're like, okay, the math ain't math in here. And that was one of the main stories where I was like, now imagine back then there was no insurance, there was nothing. It burned down, and he was making wood toys. So instant gone. There was Pepsi, who was it Pepsi or Coke? Coke. This Coke's been around since the early 1900s or maybe even the late 1800s, right? The guy that created it came from the war and had some kind of disorder, some kind of disease where he was dying. He created Coca-Cola. He died, and his wife sold the formula to she sold it. They said the equivalent was $100. And so then the guy that purchased it went on to make it a great company, if you will. And they hired their first minority CEO, I don't even know, maybe the 90s. He changed the formula and they lost like 30% of the market to Pepsi.
Wow.
So he had to go back and undo all the pressure on him. First minority one, I think it was Hispanic. That's okay. There's so many companies that have gone through so much that I'm like, this is literally a part of it.
Absolutely.
That's what keeps me going. It's one foot in front of the other. I don't have any magic pill formula. I'm no different than anybody. I get pissed off almost daily. I mean, wanting to fire my whole staff almost daily. So then I'm like, what can I do to fix it? Because there's always a fix. It's not like you're going to a black hole and then nothing is to be resolved. There's very few things that haven't already been done. So I just say, F it. I'm going to play my little phone game and I'm going to sleep because there's nothing I can do right now.
Understood.
There's literally nothing I can do at this moment.
Understood.
So tomorrow when I got to face it, reluctantly, what am I going to do to change something that is not working?
That's a breather, because it often does require me to just go to bed and just forget about it, like really forget about it. And I do start fresh the next day. You're absolutely right.
You seen that meme? SpongeBob, right? You saw the meme where it was like, when everybody's going through stuff, but I'm always in the house and nothing's happening to me. And he's like a little plankton was eating like a burger. That's how I feel about my business. I'm like, oh, well, may or may not make payroll. They're not going to come and beat me up.
Right.
If I can't do it, I can't do it. Like literally, if I cannot, what am I going to do? I cannot do it. And people get evicted from their apartments. People they're like about to be, their mortgages significantly behind. They use their kids' college funds. They borrowed from their friends and family. They have more second, third, fourth mortgage on their house. They donated plasma. They sold organs. If no one is exempt, nobody. So it's like, how dare I say this shit is too hard?
Great point.
It hurts at the moment. Believe, trust. It hurts at the moment, but then you just got to kind of wait it out. It's like waiting out a bully. You're like, okay, eventually this bully gonna go home. Let me just
somewhere. Absolutely right. Absolutely.
And then do stuff that makes you happy. Because what happens is when you're dwelling in that moment, and I had my moments where I'm sitting there like, I can't stand anybody right now. Like nobody's helping me. I can't borrow money from nobody. I'm going psycho. So two things remind me to come back to why I mentioned I can't borrow money from anybody. But like you sit and mull in the moment, and then you're not looking for a solution because you're pissed. Right. And you're weighing on your own health. So go and do something that makes you happy. Even if it's going for a walk, it don't have to be something that you pay for. Go for a drive. Listen to some music. Listen to a song like in what was it? Why Did I Get Married? When Jill Scott starts driving and she's like, I need something to uplift me. That's what I hear when I'm aggravated and I start driving. I literally put on a song that I really like, and you'll be surprised how fast it changes your mood.
That's fair.
This is all like, I don't want to make it seem like everything is so easy, but no, little steps.
It is. And sometimes I'm thinking way too hard or too much into it, but I can't even figure out the little step. And the only thing that I can do is eventually just go to sleep. But throughout the day, I do need to just relax a little bit more. I found myself And I was good. I was good until they started responding that they don't know when, and it's the one thing when you plan and you get like, okay, I've been covering, if they don't know when, that, I'm going to be exhausted. My funds are going to be exhausted soon. My son is in summer camp, like I I've given this business so much money that it's just like, I can't not know when. So
Right.
I really, when I reached out to you the other day, I chose today because I was too emotional. I was just like, I won't even be able to complete this conversation. Let me wait 2 days,
Oh
calm
man.
down, and then I can probably have a decent conversation. But it has been a tough couple of days because it's just like, I can't understand. I know for them, for a company to say, it's like, why should we tell you why we can't pay you? But if they gave me some, because it's just like, I've been in customer service for a while. You had to have spot. You're in numbers, you're an accountant, and I understand that sometimes they're not personable. But think about what you're saying to me. You don't know when you're going to pay me. If you give me some type of explanation, maybe I can empathize with you, and I'm going to try to figure out what I have to do anyway. But tell me something better than you don't have an update.
Context helps. I always say that context does help. It's like I had that with a state agency. The damn accounts payable person went on vacation and comes back mid-July. This is the end of the fiscal year for states. You didn't pay me. How? How do you even have the same thing? But the person who he left as the person to contact, she's like, I am so sorry. We will try our best to pay credit card. Like, even if she didn't pay me, right, she said she's going to try, and I can get the context, like, okay, and then I can cuss him out when he come back. Right, how dare you? So I totally get that. And then, like, I'm kind of a rebel and I'm a little feisty. So as soon as you say, I don't know when to pay you, I'm like, I don't know when we come back to work. Like, that's the first thing. Like, I'll be like, damn, I probably shouldn't have said that. I would say it before I even think. I don't know when we're going to come back to work. Do you get paid? And then this is what gets them too. I'll be like, you know what? Be a human for a moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you didn't get paid today, would you come to work tomorrow? And most of the time they're like, well, no, I didn't think about it like that. How you not?
How could you even say that out of your mouth and not think about what you said? But it's okay.
For me,
why do you go through all these other programs? Like, why are you still going through some of these other programs? And are there any things that you recommend for education? And I'm definitely going to be downloading the History Channel and the Discovery Channel just to keep me. I don't even have cable. Like, this is what I'd rather sit in my car. I work, I live. Even my son, he knows we spend a lot of time in the car, 30,000 plus miles a year. But
yeah,
I guess just the last would be, what should I be studying? What should I be reading? And, does it pay to go through some of these courses like the I think it's Goldman Sachs 10K. They reached out to me and it was just like, I don't know if I can do anything else right now, but I do know that I need it, Sheena. But it was just like, with my son and everything, he just graduated. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it. I applied, but it's just like, but why? What makes you keep going to these different programs? What's aside from the networking?
I just got invited to another one today. I just graduated 2 days ago. I was like, y'all, this is a prank. It's a prank. I was like, I'm not doing no more programs. I got two offers within 48 hours. I was like, oh, no. And then they're like, well, no, this one is different. It's the CEO circle. There's only people that make this amount. I was like, oh my God. So it's never a choice. I just say, okay, what can I get? Literally, it's like, what can I get out of it? So of course I'm a veteran. And with those, they have like the conferences and stuff like that. So I just kind of stay in the network with those because I enjoy those. Goldman Sachs was the best program I've ever experienced. It taught me business because I got so caught kind of in the government contract, and I was doing all right as far as a business owner, but it really teaches you, like, this is what the other people are learning. Exit strategy. They always say, oh, you need to know your financials, and I'll be like, yeah, whatever. And they like, oh no, sit your down, and we're gonna go line by line and what this actually means and what your projections are. By the way, your rate of growth in 2 years you're going to be at 5 million. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. That makes me feel better because the bare minimum that I'm doing is actually going to get me to, you know, a growth factor that I really want. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to really pay attention to everything that they're teaching me, because a lot of times, especially if we're first generation business owners, then we're just like, oh, I got a business. Okay, then what? Are you passing it down? Are you dying in it? Are you selling it? Like,
what's the succession plan? Yeah.
What are you actually going to do with that business? And so Goldman Sachs kind of like started it, fostered it. Here's what you're going to do in the detail, molecular, like painfully molecular. But you see that every other program that I participated in only has a piece of that, like a flavor of that. So it's one, the networking, because I've gotten contracts being in some of these circles. So without even really trying, just they know what I do and whoop, there it is, connected me. Two, for me, I feel like it builds the brand.
Okay.
So it's like more people know about what you do. Of course, you could be recommended, but then also you kind of like showing that you a boss in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't ever feel like that. I'm extreme introvert, contrary to popular belief, but you're letting people know who you is. I do this. I am like, and then you could be an inspiration to other people, especially like in our field where it's like construction, facilities type stuff. Black women wear inspiration to other people too.
It really is.
You know, and so once you weather the storm of all the BS, and it never goes away, it just hopefully you get out of the CEO seat and you ain't got to deal with it. You just deal with the high level stuff, but all the other BS, somebody else gonna do that. I don't have to deal with my labor employees. Not that I don't care about them, but BS that I used to have to deal with the labor employees, the calling out, the this, the that, like nonstop, that was driving me insane. So somebody else handles that. So now I got free space to make us all some more money.
That's great. That's great.
And take programs. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. So do you only read like books that are assigned to the programs, or anything else aside from, you know, taking some time to review other businesses, is like old businesses that shaped America? I think that's really great. I'm going to definitely look into that. Anything else you would recommend that I hold on to, or kind of take my mind somewhere else to when I get?
One thing that you have to be is a student of the game, whether it's janitorial, construction. If you're going to go the heavy construction route, if you're going to stay in government contracting heavy, if you're going to really, really want to build up your business to be a for real business, and, you know, not, and yours is not a side hustle, but I'm just saying people still treat their business like a side hustle. So, and it's not your side because it's your main, right? But people still treat it like,
and I still do. I think I still do. Absolutely. That would still be me, honestly.
It needs to be built. You need to put in systems in place to back yourself out of it. So
no problem. Thank you so much. Student of the game. What are some things that I should be studying?
It's really up to you, because you said that you can't take on nothing else. So I should
be studying how to really just get the foundational portions of my business together. That's what I've been saying all year. And that's what I've been doing, like bookkeeping and the accounting portions, and just trying to really map out the quality assurance to make sure what we say we're going to do, we've been doing. So yeah, I'll keep working on that and understanding how I can do that better.
Yeah, as far as a quality assurance plan, like that should just be a one-time write-up. So
Understood. I mean, and use it for all the businesses. Yeah,
it should be a one-time write-up, and then you just, I mean, you don't even necessarily need to change it based on what job you're providing. Yeah, it should be like a one-time thing. So as far as quality assurance, and you having a, you mean physically going to check?
Yes.
You don't have a lead out of all those people that can be your person?
Nope. I lost quite a few people, like right after, maybe about 2 months ago. I lost a few people because I didn't have any full-time hours for everyone.
So the people that you have right now, none of them have like a leadership quality? Yeah, I know the feeling.
To be honest.
I know.
To be honest. Not the way, and you know, maybe they have, not to always deal with the client. You know, I think I need to maybe do a training class, and maybe because I've had experience outside of just cleaning and working with people and understanding how to communicate and, you know, what to say and what not to say. Maybe I could just work with them on that, because I do have some people that do a great job, but just when it comes to interacting with the client or just giving feedback to their peers, it just doesn't go right.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So do they don't have to talk with the client, that can still be you, but can they go and can you empower them to go and check? Like say hey, I'm done with, and I don't know how many floors, I'm done with the first floor. And then that lead person goes and checks, and then they can, this ain't done, this toilet is still whatever. Are they not able to talk to that person, or can they tell you, at least tell you?
They can tell me, yeah, they can add that. That's exactly how it's been. They've been telling me, giving me the feedback. I've even gone on jobs where I would listen in and, you know, I'll do a floor while they work with the other person, and I want you to work in the same room. Don't do anything. Just, you know, work with that person or whatever they're, you know, they need to work on. Just give them feedback, but they need coaching on just how to speak to people.
You don't have anybody else that you can plug and pluck one out?
I have people, but they're not working with me. I don't have people that work with me that can do that, but I have people that I can call on to do it. Then they won't be cleaning, but yeah.
Pay them $100 a week just to go and look.
To go and check, understand it, give feedback. Yeah, that I'll have some conversations. So they can definitely get out there.
Or if they are a cleaner, pluck one of them other ones out. It's about the business. It's not personal.
It really isn't.
Trust me, I was that person. So I'm saying this from a place of understanding. I'm like, no, but I can't. She got 17 kids. Sorry, I got kids too. Absolutely. Nobody's coming to save me.
No one. That is the truth.
I have to really look at it. It's not being selfish. You are providing jobs, okay? You are a Black business owner providing jobs. Bump all that. But you got to survive in order to provide jobs. The only way for you to survive is to be a boss. And you are a boss. But I get it. Sometimes you just like, if I do that, it's going to cause a rift or whatever. Sometimes you may not be able to do that thing because it does cause a rift for whatever reason. But if you're like, this is not working, I have nothing left to give y'all, I'm exhausted, that should never be the case. What can I do to fix that? Somebody got to go. Because if I'm paying y'all money and I still got to come in here and work my ass off, oh, no. Somebody got to go. Or get adjusted.
That's a fact. That's absolutely a fact. When you're short staffed, sometimes it just seems like you need these people, but the truth is, it's always someone else. It's always someone else. It's always.
Let me tell you, I went off on my team, big fashion, on a Saturday, maybe a few weeks ago. I'm talking long email, like, I hope I ruin everybody's weekend. That's what I was on. I was so mad. And at that moment, I realized I was okay if everybody in the whole company quit. And it was a scary thought before. And that's why I was always kind of like, I wasn't passive, but I was more passive than I should have been. And then once I started acting crazy, then everybody started producing. I was like, okay. Just like a kid, you know, they wanted the structure. They wanted like very direct feedback. I need you to do this, not, you know, a roundabout way. I need you to do this, and you better do it because I'm paying you to do it. There's no other excuse why you can't do it. So anyway, off my soapbox.
No, I need it. Thank you so much for making the time for me. Like,
no, of course.
This may not, you know, and I'm not gonna worry about what this was like. This is what I needed. And it may, you know, at that time when I reached out to you, it probably seemed so much more, but still today, if I didn't have any other phone calls or any other meetings, this was